Good afternoon. Welcome to the first Resident Association meeting of the year. It'll take us just a moment to get set up with additional chairs. So if you'll be patient for just a moment or so. Well, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. As usual, we need to familiarize ourselves with the fire code. In the event a fire alarm should sound, please remain in the auditorium and stay seated. Should there be need to evaluate, a Springmore staff member will direct you on how to leave in an orderly fashion. Please remember not to use the elevators and go to a red pole once outside. He's standing out in the cold and the wind. I remind you to please silence your phone. I remind you to please silence the phone. Okay. The volume is on. That's all I can say. I would like to introduce the members of the executive committee. I'm the president of the Residents Association. Jim Bundy is vice president. Barbara Smith is secretary. We have two new members of directors, Judy Allen and Tracy Hurley, and remaining members, Sylvia Dole and John Robinson. Thanks for all of their work with the executive committee. As you came in, you saw a table. If you came in this door, you saw a table soliciting volunteers for the Health Center Auxiliary. So if you're interested in opportunities to serve in that way, you can check it on the way out. Unusual, Brandon doesn't have anything he needs to say. We'll turn this attention now to Jim Bundy to introduce our program for today and for the year. Jim.
Thank you very much, Alan. I want to say, first of all, well, let's see, I hit the wrong button there. There we go. It's a real honor and privilege to be the vice president of this association. As you're probably aware, the vice president's job is to come up with programs for the Residents Association meetings, and I have done that for the entire year, and they're on display up here. They're also posted on the bulletin boards down by the post office in North and also South Village. I wanted to take just a moment to go through these programs to let you know what's in store for us. And the first thing I'm going to say is I'm absolutely blown away by the crowd that we've got in here today, and I hope that we can maintain this for the other programs that we're going to have. I'm going to skip the first two, January and February, because they're the ones I'm going to introduce in just a moment. But in March, we have a business meeting, and this is when Brandon does his State of the Union message or State of Springmore message, and there's also the board of directors people that are there, and usually also from the Retirement Living Associates, which is the parent company of Springmore. You will also have an opportunity before that meeting to ask questions and make comments, which they will then answer and make comments on at that particular meeting. But the Management Advisory Committee will be sending out something very shortly to allow you to ask questions or make comments or so forth that you might want to do with regard to the management or questions about what's going on with regard to Springmore. We're very fortunate at Springmore to have George and Brenda Raymond as residents here in South Village. They happen to have a daughter named Kristen Walker, who is the director of the state budget. And George and Brenda volunteered their daughter to make a presentation to us, which she is going to do in April on the state of North Carolina budget. I know and you know that the budget is a very political football, and Kristen has been advised and she has accepted, because she says she's done this at other locations, to do a non-political presentation. She will be talking about 4 or 5 different aspects of the budget, including such things as the Medicaid expansion and the rainy day fund and some things of that nature that she's going to be talking about. On May, we're going to go Meals on Wheels, which is a nonprofit organization. Some of you are probably familiar with it. Some of you maybe even be volunteers for Meals on Wheels. There's 100 or so nonprofit organizations in Raleigh and Wake County. Why did I pick Meals on Wheels? There's a good reason. Number one, it was started in 1974, and it was started at Hilliard Memorial Christian Church, which just happens to be my home church. If you do the math, you will then recognize that they are getting ready to have their 50th anniversary coming up in April. And this organization, which started out very small with only about 10 people and probably a dozen people they were delivering meals to, now they have over 1,000 volunteers. They now have over 2,500 clients that they service each year in Wake County, and they estimate that they have delivered 10 million meals in the 50 years that they've been in operation. So Mary Kate Keith is going to be talking to us about the Meals on Wheels program. In June, we're going to have a representative from the Department of Justice who's going to talk to us about scams, fraud, and internet safety, something we always need to keep in mind. We always need to stay ahead of. As we know, there's people out there who are trying to stay ahead of us and get our money. And we're trying to make sure that the Springmore community is aware of the most recent things with regard to scams, fraud, and internet safety. There'll be no meeting in July. In August, we're going to have a sort of a little different meeting as well. There is something called the MST, which some of you probably never heard of. I'm only aware of it through the fact that I know Jerry Barker. Jerry Barker is a personal friend of mine. We were cohorts and worked together at NC State University for about 30 years. Jerry has been very involved in the development of the Mountain to Sea Trail. He's been head of the board of directors. He's on the board of directors. He actually has written a book, which is at the publisher right now, on the Mountain to Sea Trail. And fortunately for us, he has actually made the traverse from the mountains to the sea, and he happened to have his camera with him while he was going. So since many of us will probably not be able to make that trip ourselves, Jerry is going to show us what it looks like from the mountains to the sea, down to the Mountain to Sea Trail. I've seen part of his presentation, and I think you're going to enjoy that when it comes up in August. Another business meeting in September, which is usually the budget meeting, to give you an opportunity to ask questions about what the budget's going to be for 2025. And then in October, we're going with Dix Park. I think most of you who have been in Raleigh for a while know that there was something out there that we always referred to as Dix Hill, which was the mental facility, which closed in about 2012. And the state owned all that property. It's 308 acres. And several years ago, they sold that to the city of Raleigh. And there's now the Dix Park Conservatory, which is responsible for developing Dix. And there's probably not a week that goes by what you don't read something about what's going on at the Dix Park. So I thought it would be a good idea to have a representative, and Nick Neptune will be here in October to tell us the history, as well as the present, as well as the future for that Dix Park complex. Then November, we're scheduled to have the Cardinal Singers. They're a volunteer women's chorus. They were last at Springmore performing actually for the Residents Association meeting in November of 2022. And they were very well received, and so we're going to be happy to have them back with us for the Residents Association meeting in November. They will be here on November the 11th, which is Veterans Day, and Elizabeth, the director, has indicated to me that she will be sure to have some patriotic songs in the repertoire that they will be singing that day. So that's the rundown of what we've got in store for you for the year 2024. Now, I want to encourage all of you who are here today to come back in February and then also in March and April and May, because I really would like to see this place packed. 4 of the presentations are in-house presentations, the first 2 plus the business meetings, but the other 6 presentations are people coming in from the outside. And nothing would disappoint me more is if they came in here and there was 15 or 25 people sitting out here listening to their presentation. I'd like to have this room full every time. I do know that there are some people who cannot come to an in-person presentation, even though it's to your advantage to do so. It gives you an opportunity to meet and greet. I mean, a comment was made earlier there. There's some people here that have never been to a Residents Association meeting. It gives South Village people an opportunity to chat with some North Village people. It gives you an opportunity to be involved in the discussion. It gives you an opportunity to ask questions. And of course, it also gives you an opportunity to maybe win a door prize. But if you can't be here, it is being televised, live streamed on 1341. And most of you probably realize that last year I was behind the camera. And unfortunately, this year I had to come on this side of the camera. But my good friend and South Village resident, Charlie Bryan, has taken over. He graciously accepted the position of camera operator. So he's the one who's now going to be live streaming it as well as recording it. If you missed the actual program, if you missed the 1341 live stream, within 48 hours, it is normally on the resident portal. Another reason is that you should be very active with the resident portal, because you can go back, and if you did it right now and you went to videos and you went to Residents Association meeting, all of the Residents Association meetings for last year are on the resident portal, and the ones for this year will be on the resident portal as well. If I went around and asked each one of you why you came to Springmoor, why you decided on coming to Springmoor, there's really no doubt in my mind that while it may not be number 1, it may not even be number 2, but if you were to give me 3, 4, or 5 reasons for why you came to Springmoor, one of those reasons would be because of the health center here, because we all recognize that coming to a CCC community, continuing care community, just makes sense. In my particular case, having a wife who had a terminal illness, Alzheimer's, dementia, and disease, there was really no question from my particular point of view that we had to come to a CCC. To go to an independent living facility would have been just not the thing to do. So I think that most of you recognize, many of you have already had people, spouses who were in the health center. Many of you recognize that there's probably a pretty good chance that you may wind up in the health center at some point in time also. As a member of the health committee for the last 2 years, it was pretty obvious to us and was demonstrated to us many times that there was a need to inform the Springmoor community about the health center and about the health services that were available to the residents here. We discovered there was a lot of misinformation, and we discovered that there was a lot of misinformation about what the health services are. So I sat down with Jessica one afternoon, and we tried to put together a program that would encompass all of this to give you all the information you need to know. It didn't take us very long to come to the conclusion that there was no way we could do that in 45 minutes. And that's the reason that we split it into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is what you'll hear today, and that is the health services for independent residents, including the supportive living. What you'll hear in February at part 2 is the health center itself and what services will be available to you when you go into the health center. And we all know there's a lot of stuff going on in the health center. They've already finished phase, 2, 3, and so forth, and they're getting ready to, the clinic is now open, and the PT area is now open. The administrative offices have moved upstairs. There's an in-house pharmacy going to come in there pretty soon. And they're also going to begin moving to the neighborhood concept, which is something some of us who have been here a while have been hearing for the last 3 years, and we've been waiting. So we're now going to get a refresher course in February on that neighborhood concept. but now we're ready for part number one. Now, a few house rules before we start, and that is that the request has been made that we not stop the presentations to answer questions as we go along. We want to ask you, I know that some of you are going to have burning questions that you just feel like you've got to ask, but there's going to be 6 presenters up here talking about all of the different aspects of the health services that are available to you. And you may have a question that you think hadn't gotten covered, but the speaker 2 or 3 or 4 down may answer that question for you. So we're going to give you plenty of time to ask questions as we normally do. We'll take the mic around to you and let you speak into the mic so that the people here can hear you and so the people on 1341 can hear you as well. And so we just want you to be aware that please do not ask any questions until we're through with the entire presentation, which Jessica Pagan is going to lead off, but then there's 5 more people after her. Now, Jessica Pagan is the administrator for the health center, and she's still new. I mean, she hadn't even been here a whole year yet, and it dawned on me that some of you probably didn't even know Jessica. Fortunately, I've been able, through the health center, to work with her very closely. And so I asked her if she'd give me just a little bit of a biographical statement about her so I could pass it on to you so you would know where she came from before she got here. Now, she's from a small town just north of Fayetteville called Godwin. Now, I thought I grew up in a small town, but I looked up Godwin, and Godwin is a whole lot smaller than Farmville, where I grew up down east. Godwin is located on 301. Now, many of you who've been in North Carolina for a long period of time know that 301 used to be the major north-south highway until I-95 was built. She got a bachelor's degree in social work from the University of North Carolina at Pembroke. She started her career in child and adult protective services, but then transitioned to nursing home social work. She has been a licensed home nursing administrator in the state of North Carolina for 9 years. They relocated to Raleigh when her husband changed his employment, and what great luck that was, because that put her right here available to take the Springmore position when it opened up. They have 3 children aged 8, 15, and 22, and she says when she's not at work, she's probably watching her son wrestle at Leesville High School. She enjoys reading a good book or finding a new trail to hike, or they enjoy a great deal of boating at Falls and Jordan Lake. And with that, here's Jessica Pagan to begin the presentation this afternoon.
Thank you for that.
Hit the X up there, he said, or there you go, you got it.
All right. Thank you so much. And first and foremost, I wanted to thank each of you for allowing me to be here along with the team this afternoon. I have been here now for about 10 months. I feel like it's been 10 short months with a lot to learn and a lot that I'm still learning every single day. For those of you that I've met already, I hear a lot. Oh, it's nice to meet you. I hope we never need your services. Although I greatly appreciate that, we all recognize that we are here because of the healthcare services. I'm here to support each and every one of you, whether you are in the Stewart Health Center or you continue to maintain your independence, which is where we'd like for all of you to continue. But nonetheless, if you do need us, my support is here for all of you. I have my team here with me, several of the team members, just to discuss a lot of the healthcare services available to each of you. I think that you will find the information very valuable and informative. And at the end, I'm sure that a lot of you will have questions that we haven't covered, and we'll use that information to make sure that we can share with all of you, whether today or in the future. I did want to note that we did develop a little packet for all of you. This is just in addition to the presentation, so you'll have some additional information to take back with you, just to reference. And the video and PowerPoint will be available on the portal for you to refer back to as well. All right. So next, I would like to introduce Charlotte Jenkins. Charlotte is our Director of Outpatient Services, and she oversees the clinic. I do support her as well, but she will be talking mostly about the healthcare services that you all do have available to you currently. All right. Thank you, Charlotte. There you go.
Thank you, Jessica. Well, I have only been here a little bit longer than Jessica, but I get the opportunity to see many of you in the clinic and throughout I'm out and about a bit more. So, and obviously my ultimate goal, as I've said before, is to keep you all as independent as possible for as long as possible, as long as everybody's safe. That's the big key word. So, just to get started, we're gonna start with the clinic. So our new clinic is where we moved to last week, and I apologize to anyone who has been in there in the last week or so. It's a little chaotic, and so please give us some grace in that. But we'll have it all cleaned up soon enough. Will be called the Dr. Wells Edmondson Health and Wellness Clinic. So obviously this is in honor of Dr. Ed, who was here for 35 years. And many of you probably had him as your physician. So we're really excited for that, our new space. The first thing to keep in mind, and I have this separated out in 2 columns, is the all Springmore residents. I think the big thing to keep in mind is that the clinic is for everyone. It does not matter if you are utilizing the physicians that are there. The physicians and or practitioners, nurse practitioners, are employees of Raleigh Medical Group. The nurses, Ashley at the front desk, we are all Springmore employees. So we are a part of why you came here, right? What we do is we have the ability, we are going out, the nurses are supporting you in such ways as if you have a dressing change that needs to be completed, let's say you went and got that all familiar Mohs procedure, and you've got the need to have some dressing changes, that's right. You come and you see us, we can get that taken care of for you. You don't need to struggle with that. Some folks have had radiation into certain parts of their bodies and they need some wound care. We are there for you for that. We also are the folks that if you have what we call a community call, someone falls somewhere on campus, something happens in your apartment, the nurses are going out there and taking care of that. Right? They're going to be the ones who are helping you triage certain situations. We cannot prescribe, we cannot give medical advice, but we can help walk you through certain situations to guide you in the best direction for your own care. In the end, you, being independent living residents, you are the ones making the decision in the end, but we're trying to help you in that respect. Another thing is some people will come in for vital signs. Let's say you've got a headache and things aren't feeling right and you want to get your blood pressure checked, or your machine that you have in your apartment doesn't seem to be working quite right and you just want to have us check that. We can do that for you in the clinic. The nursing staff can help support you in that. The clinic also has lab services. So our lab services are supported by Rex Labs. They are there Monday through Friday from 9 to 10:30. And what that means, though, is even if you don't have our physicians, let's say your cardiologist wants some lab work, or you have another primary care beyond us, if they will send the order to us, then the phlebotomist here on campus can do that lab work. And it is through Rex Labs, so therefore it's going to be through the portal system. It's going to get sent to whoever that physician is. So you don't have to go, you may not have to go to their office and get that blood work before that appointment. You can do that here on campus. So it's a convenient aspect for you guys to have and keep things in-house. Another thing that the clinic is also there for is going to be your long-term care. So a lot of you may have long-term care insurance policies, and you probably haven't looked at that policy since you purchased it 30 years ago. And you may have a loved one who is going into the health center, or other things are going on that you want to see what your resources are that you've already paid for. We have a long-term care specialist here, and her name is Amanda Wetzel. And she technically works in the health center, but for ease of residents, if you come into the clinic and talk to Ashley, Ashley will connect you with Amanda, and we can, Amanda may or may not choose to have an appointment. She'll set up the appointment, but we also let her use the clinic space now that we have more space to have those appointments with you guys and to help you go through your policies to figure out what you have. So she's an enormous, phenomenal resource. So then there's the folks who choose to have our providers. If you choose to have your provider, then the clinic is basically just like any primary care office. They are the ones who are managing your health care. They are managing prescriptions. So those are the normal pieces. But I want you to notice that the right side of the slide, which is for everyone, okay? There's a lot there for everyone to get out of our clinic. And so I want you to see us as what we are, which are a very knowledgeable resource. Okay, go to the next one. And then we have our open house. So we're going to January 19th. Put it on your calendars. It's a Friday from 2 to 4. Feel free to come by for our open house. We will have the very famous Dr. Edmondson there. And he would love to see as many faces as possible because, he still loves you guys a lot. I just saw him today. So feel free to come by. I do know that a lot of you really want to see what's going on in the clinic. I do ask that if you want to come by, please come by late in the afternoon, somewhere between like 3:30 and 5. I want you to be respectful of other residents who are patients, and we are going to work really, really hard. Our previous clinic was not built for what they call HIPAA, which is the Patient Privacy Act. It literally was built prior to HIPAA. HIPAA came about 30 years ago. So it wasn't conducive to that. And we are going to work really, really hard to make sure that we are being good stewards of everyone's privacy. So just like I said, if you want to come by and you see it, we welcome you. Just if you could later in the day when we don't have patients, that would be phenomenal. I appreciate that. All right. Our next one. So clinical assessment tools. So this is something that when I got here about 1.5 years ago, I started to come to the conclusion that we needed some assessment tools that we could figure out how best to help our residents. And so we have a lot of well-meaning people, family members, siblings, children, everyone who might want to say, well, this is going on with so-and-so, and I'm concerned about X, Y, and Z. And so I did a lot of research and got a lot of help from our therapy department here. They were really supportive in this. And we basically came up with 2 primary assessment tools. Those primary assessment tools are what's called the Barthel and the SLUMS. I know, horrible, horrible acronym. That's why I've made sure that you're aware that that is the St. Louis University Mental Status Examination. So it is not nearly as bad as it sounds. So we'll first start with the Barthel. And I will let you know what I'm doing is all of our new residents, I started this in July, all of our new residents who come in, I meet with them. All of you met with someone similar to me. I meet with them and I go ahead and get this information so we have baseline information. This is just baseline. As you're going to change, as we all change, as we age, then that way, if something's going on and someone's like, well, this is going on. And you may say, hey, my memory doesn't feel as good as it was. I can go back out, and not just myself. We can have therapy do these assessment tools. Social work is capable of doing these assessment tools. Therapy. So one of the keys was to find tools that all of the disciplines could utilize, not just a singular discipline. So the Barthel is a physical assessment tool. It is self-reporting. It is very simple and talks about what can you do independently. And then we gather that information, and then there's the slums. The slums is, as I said, it's a mental status examination. I'm sure many of you are aware of the clock, right? Everyone's got that Medicare exam that happens. Well, this does institute the clock and a few other things. It's super interesting if anyone really wants to deep dive into the slums. It talks about different types of memory. It's not all about memorization. It's not all about short-term memory. There's a little bit of long-term memory and classification type memory. And so it gives us a good idea of where things are at. And then from those two tools, we look at what resources do we have here on campus that we can connect you with that then can support you and strengthen you in a particular area, okay? So this is about staying independent. So that bottom sentence in both of those, this is not pass-fail. This is not a test. It is not something for someone to tell me I need to be in the health center. Okay, I don't want there to be any fear around these assessment tools because they are truly meant to benefit you. This gives us objective data and not subjective data, right? We don't want people's opinions about what's going on. We want some actual data that we can say, okay, this is where the weak spots are, and let's get something in place to help that weak spot. So, not sure if anyone, I know some, like I said, the new residents are aware, but some of the older residents who've been here for a while would not be familiar with this. I do think it's something that, I do hope that it becomes a little bit more and more about our culture here at Springmore, about not, once again, like I said, getting in baseline information and then looking at it periodically as things may change. Please understand that these scores can change. So they are not, singular and they only go down. They go up as we get supports involved. So this is the way we can work for improvement. Okay? All right. Next thing, our supportive living area. So these are, in this picture, you might recognize Miss Mary Craft. She's one of our residents there. And to the right, you have Maya Brower, and to the left is Nika Eckerd. They are my two Monday through Friday staff members down there. They are there from 7:30 to 3. But we have staff in that area 24/7. The point of supportive living, it is not assisted living. It is supportive living. So what it does is it takes this really huge campus, right? We got North Village, we got South Village, we got things going on in all different directions, and it shrinks it down. and it brings it in to something where it's a little more manageable for some folks. And so it just decreases some choices, and not decrease choices is the wrong way to say it, but it allows it to be simplified. There's increased staffing in the area. That includes activity staff. That includes dietary staff. So dietary staff is the same in that area. So the great thing there is they become very familiar with their residents and their needs. But it is still independent living. Very much so. It is independent living. I strongly encourage our supportive living residents to eat in any dining space they want to because they can. Participate in any exercise classes that they can because they can. Any activity that's going on within Springmore, supportive living residents can participate in. So that is the whole point, is that once again, it is there to just kind of wrap our arms around folks and kind of help them along. So in that area, I have 32 apartments. The 60% of them are efficiencies. They are smaller units. But that also goes back to the ability to somewhat manage what's going on around you. So then this next thing I have, resident pendants. Raise your hand if you have a resident pendant. Raise a hand if you actually wear your resident pendant. Thank you, and thank you. Okay? These resident pendants are, what all the cool kids wear. Just want to say. The point of a resident pendant, if you press that button, you are in immediate contact with our security department. They're going to know where you are and that something's going on, and they're going to come see you. And most likely, they're going to call the nurses, whether that be during the day, which is the clinic, and at night, which is the health center. But someone is going to show up. So I hope that gives you a sense of support and security, and as far as also your children and family members who might be worrying about you, maybe overly so sometimes. But it is there for you to maintain independence, but also maintain connection. Keep the connection going so that what I find, keeping just the connection to our security area. And the issue also there would be if you're not wearing it, it's doing you no good. If you want one, they have been on back order for quite a while, but I have them now. So I'd like them to go back on me needing to order some. So if you need them, let me know. Additional services that we have dental services, which are Dr. Lisk. He does come to the clinic. They will actually, I know if you've been seeing any of our specialists, they have been in room 111 in the health center. They are now out of the clinic. So they have their own room. And we will, so please, here you make appointments with Dr. List's staff, and I've listed that information. But it's basic dental care. If anything's extensive, his office is very close at the very end of, not end, but Sawmill and Lead Mine. So super close if you did have to go to his office, but he does do basic dental care here. We also have audiology, as well as someone who comes and works on hearing aids. Once again, the appointments for audiology can be made through Ashley, our clinic secretary. That is very easily done. Just give us a call. And then with the hearing aids, also that information, you have to call them directly. All of these specialists, they do not bill, they all bill separately. So the clinic does no billing. It's all services that we are bringing in for your support, but they are going to bill on their own. The next one I have is dermatology. Dermatology basics, they're going to do skin exams. They can do biopsies. They can do treatment for skin cancers. So, one of those things that we all need to be doing are those all over body checks once a year at least, unless you have a history, which means you need to do it more frequently. So one of my goals in 2024 is to start, now that we have our new space, start looking at bringing in some additional support services. And so if you feel like there is something I really would love to have here on campus, feel free to contact me. Shoot me an email and just said, hey, I feel like this is something we're seriously lacking. And then I can try to do the research to find folks to bring them in. I will say bringing people here to Springmore, the biggest hiccup is getting them to bill. They always want us to do the billing, and that they do need to be billing separately because that's just not something there's a lot of red tape that goes into doing medical billing that I don't think y'all want us to do. So feel free for all of that, but thank you very much for letting us take care of you. And if anything comes up, shoot me an email and let me know. But the next speaker is going to be Miss Sue Kohler. She's my new teammate who started the 1st of December, and she is our independent living social worker.
I'll raise this a little bit. Hi, I'm Sue Kohler. In the spirit of healthcare, I've got a joke. So I went to my doctor and said, Doctor, I broke my arm in 2 places. She tells me, well, stop going to those places. Ba-dum-bum. So, thank you. So my role is resident outreach coordinator. That's a big mouthful. I like to think of it as I'm your resident advocate. My background's in social work and healthcare social work. And so what I bring to the table is my job is to provide education and support for Springmore residents to navigate obstacles in order to maintain independence in the most appropriate environment. We have a big campus. There's amazing resources from independent living and the services that could be brought in, both through our Springmore staff as well as outside in the community. And then the different levels from supportive living to the health center. So I see my role is to provide education about those resources and about things like advanced directives and power of attorneys, caregiver resources, and kind of further discussing whether I have the answers on hand or maybe you have really particular questions about supportive living in the health center. I can be a point of contact to go get those answers for you. And sometimes you just have conversations that you want, especially for caregiver support, that are just, you want more one-on-one meetings to just support you and what options are available for you and your spouse, or you and your loved one. And I think support of not only providing that education, not just coming and answering questions, but helping facilitate next steps. So it's building a relationship. I really desire to get to know folks. So that way I'm not just meeting you in a crisis, but meeting you and getting to know who you are and know your family, and to walk through any kind of changes or obstacles together. So a lot of this, hopefully, I look forward to. One thing I've really enjoyed in my short time, I just came right after Thanksgiving, is a lot of in-person, face-to-face meetings, meeting you here around the community or in your own home and just getting to know the people that you are. Last is I get to visit residents in the hospital and be a liaison and a friendly face with you and your family members while you're in the hospital. and then and assisting, sometimes doing it right now, just learning the logistics and the steps to just help people as they process from independent living, maybe into supportive living and others. So just being your advocate so that you can do the things you want to do, and we can help you get there. So thanks for letting me be a part of your community.
Hey everyone, I am the midway speaker, so the good news is mine's very short. The better news is I'm inviting you guys all back here again. I hope everyone here will show up on January 22nd so that we can discuss the in-house pharmacy that is currently under construction. The reason we added an additional date just for that is it's such a good opportunity for Springmore and the residents that we thought that there may be a lot of questions, some of them that are still not answered now, that we're going to work with the Medipac team, which is partnering with Springmore, to make sure we can have those answers for you guys. So at the end, when we have questions today, I may not have many answers for you, but if y'all show up again right here 2 weeks from today, on Monday, at 3 p.m. in the auditorium, we'll be talking directly about the Springmore Pharmacy. All right, so the next person coming up is Ellen Davis. She's our RN home care coordinator, and she's going to be talking to you about the opportunities with home care. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This isn't my strong point, but I'll give it my best. I've been at Springmore for 7 years. The first 6 years, I was a clinic nurse, so I know a lot of you from that. I really love what I do now, which is coordinating the home care services. We get to provide care in all 3 areas. In your packet, you got a brochure about home care that has all the specific details, but I just wanted to highlight a few things, particularly that we offer services between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. 7 days a week. Mostly during the week, I will say. We have some weekend staff, but we're growing that part of the department. We only require a 2-hour weekly minimum for services. Most outside agencies require a 4-hour minimum and 16 hours a week. So we've got them on that. Okay. Some details about our agency. We are a licensed home care agency. We've been on site since 2011. Joyce Isley started the agency back then. We currently serve about 80 residents combined in all 3 areas. That's Stewart Health Center, Supportive Living, and IL. Our staff consists of 35 caregivers at present. I'd say 98% of those caregivers are certified nurses' aides. And I will say our staff is what sets us apart from a lot of agencies. The ladies and gentlemen we have working here really enjoy helping seniors, and it really shows. It makes my job much easier. All of the nurse aides are employees of Springmore. They've been vetted, background check. I do their training. I do their orientation. They get a lot of oversight. I conduct your initial assessment. I develop a plan of care with you and the family, and then every 90 days I'm coming back to check on how things are going and do reassessment. And some people will ask me, what does home care do? Well, we all know that we can do physical care, particularly in the health center, help people with showers, help people take walks. But we do a lot in the independent community that you might not think of as home care. Companionship is a huge thing. Socialization, sometimes women will call me that they want someone to be with their husband while they go play bridge or something if they have memory loss. Our aides are great at that. We go on walks. We help you get organized. A lot of people will hire us to help with their seasonal clothing change out of their closets. We assist with laundry, of course, ironing. We'll do simple meal prep. We do medication reminders. We can assist with errands or accompany you or your loved one to an appointment. And we assist with correspondence and calendar upkeep. So if anybody is interested in home care, I'd be happy to talk with you. I love working with everyone at Springmore, and I look forward to making your life a little better. Thank you. Next is legacy.
I wore my heels and I'm still going to have to lower this. So thank you is the first thing I'd like to say. I have been with Legacy for 10 years as of yesterday, and Springmore was one of the very first campuses that I worked on, so it's wonderful to still be welcomed back with such warm, inviting arms each year and every day. When Jessica first approached us about meeting with y'all today, of course, we originally had Brooke in mind because she is the familiar face that everyone's used to. I'm sure she has you running up and down stairs and doing, yes, I have a lot of nods and smiles. But somebody let her have PTO today, so y'all are stuck with me instead. By trade, I'm an occupational therapist, have been doing so for much longer than I'd like to admit to you guys, but I'm actually here today to talk to you about what therapy can do for you while you're still well and not necessarily, quote unquote, needing therapy, right? We all know that we potentially need therapy after we've been to the hospital or experienced a change or maybe had a fall, but what can we do for you while you're still in your homes, doing your everyday, day-to-day occupations, if you will. So at Legacy, our why is to empower senior adults to lead a life filled with purpose, safety, and joy. We'd like you to do that in your homes. If you need the Stewart Health Center, obviously, we're all here for you. We have a beautiful new space down in the health center that we're just unpacking, but we also can meet you in common areas. We can assess sorry, I'm talking outside of the microphone. We can assess your apartments. We can meet you in the space in your life that you need a little bit of extra support. So our scope of practice, I'm going to start with occupational therapy because I'm an occupational therapist, but a lot of people will say, I'm retired, I don't need any occupations, right? Well, I think our occupations change a little bit as we get older. I'm also finding that out as my teenagers are telling me that I'm old and, I'm low-tech laney, all the things. So occupational therapy traditionally can help with bathing and dressing. We all need to be able to get up, bathe, dress, toilet. Those are our basic needs. I don't know if you've ever seen the meme where, they say a PT can get you up and walking 500 feet, but you don't want to walk those 500 feet naked. Occupational therapy traditionally works on those ADL type tasks, but we have so much more to offer. And those extra pieces, such as rest and sleep interventions. How many of you wake up every day saying, ooh, I might have slept funny and my neck is cricked or my arm hurts? Those are interventions that we can assess and provide. IADLs, meal prep, pet care, driving assessment. And no, I don't get to tell anyone can they drive or can't they drive, but I do get to say, hey, your neck looks like maybe you don't have full range of motion. That's something that we can address. That's an area where we can help. Shopping, pet care, those types of areas. We also can offer environmental assessments. I don't know if y'all have ever met Caitlin, but she is our environmental guru, and she can, say, pick up a throw rug here, add some light there. Those are some of the services that we provide to meet you in a place where you are existing right now. In terms of physical therapy, everybody knows that we can assess gait, work on range of motion and strengthening. Some of the fine-tune areas that you may need now are transfer training to be able to get in and out of a car safely. Not necessarily on and off of your couch, but in and out of a car or your son's triple extra large SUV that's really hard to step in and out of. Stair climbing, curb navigation, community terrain. We also do have the ability to intervene in vestibular situations. If you're feeling dizzy for no uncertain reason, then that's something that we have the ability to assess. And then speech language pathology. This is probably one of those misnamed professions, but it's been so long misnamed that we're just rolling with it now at this point. Speech therapists traditionally intervene with swallowing in a healthcare type setting, but out in the community in an independent living setting, we would address things such as cognition, language, voice quality, fluency, vocal impairments. I talk to speech therapists on a daily basis and ask them what kind of compensatory strategy I can use to keep all of my to-do lists together in a better way. So those are some of the non-traditional therapy roles that we can offer from an OT, PT, and ST perspective. And that's really why Legacy we've been around for 25 years, and that's really why we are loving to be involved with the CCRC communities, because we get to use those aspects of our license and our framework to help you remain independent. I could have talked for about 45 minutes on this, but Jessica made me squeeze it into 7, so I'm rolling with this. Some of our programs that we offer during a legacy assessment and then a plan of care include fall prevention, igniting independence, which looks at low vision, medication management, assistive device training, and some other areas, continence management, pain management. And then the last area that I'd like to touch on, and maybe there may be a few questions afterwards that I can discuss with you on an individual basis, is our community outreach program. We have Amy is her name, Amy Hickey. We have an outreach specialist who coordinates with the community and yourself as a resident. If you happen to be in the hospital, she will coordinate almost like a safe bridge back to Springmore, ensuring that you have the services that you need. She will coordinate with the clinic in order to make sure that everything that you need to return safely to your home is in place before you get here, so that we're well informed when you get here and we can help take care of you. So community outreach is something that we're really looking to make better and really heighten this year at Springmore. So if you see Amy, she's the friendliest face you will ever see, blonde hair. If you see her at the hospital, please know that she's there to assist you in your transition back to Springmore when you're ready. How to access our services. This part, I promise, will be quick. We need to identify a need, if you will. Some of those baseline standardized tests that Charlotte talked about earlier, this might be the therapy nerd in me, but they're so very important so that we can assist and identify needs that you have. We do need a physician's order to initiate therapy services, and we will ask you for your insurance card so we can verify benefits before any services start. We will then, after all of the order and the insurance is verified, we will complete consent and an evaluation, and then we will continue to stay in contact with you after your treatment is finished to ensure that you're living that life full of purpose, safety, and joy. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was definitely a lot of information, I'm sure. We do have the contact information for everyone that was presenting today, and of course you can reach out to me directly if you have any questions of who to reach out to for certain things. I know that we are limited on time, but I wanted to open up for any questions that you all may have. And depending upon the question, I'm going to defer it to the most appropriate person to answer, as they are all very knowledgeable about their specific role within the healthcare services that are available. Any questions? Right here.
The last slide that you had up there has great information on it. Could you get a copy, make a copy for everybody? See, that right there is what we all need.
It will definitely be on the portal for everyone to access, yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, but not everybody uses the portal.
Okay, so what I will do...
No, it's on the I'll take care of me.
You want a printout? Print out?
So what I'll do is I will print some copies and leave them at the secretary desk right outside of the clinic. Please feel free to stop by and pick up one if you'd like.
Thank you.
They are in the phone directory as well, except for the last one, which is Brooke Houston, the Independent Living Rehab Director. Her email is not in there. I'll make sure that that's taken care of today. Any other questions?
We did a really good job.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you, guys.
As soon as we can find a basket of tickets, we'll have a drawing for door prizes. Oh, no, you're good, you're good. Yeah. Okay.
The basket?
Will you draw out? Oh, okay. One out of here. And I'll read the note. The first number is 1480,771. And the second one is 777457. You see that? Thank you. Thanks to all of you who have presented. Thanks for all of you who have come and are watching on this, the millions watching on TV. So hope to see you again at our next meeting, and we are adjourned.